we need to have nuclear weapons in Africa. That's the only way that we will be respected. Why do you think US can go to Venezuela and go to Maduro's house and pick him up and pick him up and his wife, take him to US and charge him in American courts? And basically there's nothing you'll do to him because there's something called nuclear weapons. If you don't have nuclear weapons, you're not respected.
Hey there, and welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa. Happy New Year to you. I hope you had good holidays and you're back. We had to bring someone who was here with us just the other day in December. None other than Orina himself. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How are you?
Very well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. When we stop saying it.
But we stopped saying it. Maybe February 1st there.
Okay.
But you know what people are not... This is a happy new quarter.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Of the 21st century.
Oh, is it?
25 years have already gone. The first quarter is gone.
Oh, yes. Wow. Okay,
It's
interesting.
It's the beginning of a new quarter.
Okay. And what's exciting for you about that?
It's exciting and it's exciting and it's scary. You know why?
No.
For the first quarter of the 21st century, if you look at the progression of the global African race, we have made little to no strides. We are still the same way we entered the year 2000.
Minimal progresses.
There's little. I can say towards the end, there has been very, very little progress. And the progress that I can say that we have made is probably, of course, the Sahel. Apart from that, in the global African race, I haven't seen anything yet.
Nothing much.
I haven't seen nothing much. And that's scary because I made a video on 31st December. I'm yet to post it on my platform, Sell Africa to Africans. This is the only quarter we have. This is the only quarter we have to fight for freedom and true independence and liberty for our people. If we don't do it in this quarter, it'll be very hard to do it in the subsequent quarters after the second quarter of the 21st century.
Okay. I want to start off this conversation. It's good you've set the base with what maybe the minimal achievements we've had, but we'll go back to that. But as we speak, I want to understand, for you, just over the weekend, Trump went and, I don't know to say whether he kidnapped or invaded or whatever they want to call it, or picking of the Venezuelan president from his home country, and he's been paraded in the US, in courts and all that. When you look at that, what does it mean for you as an African when you see such things happening?
Well, before that, which I have 6 points that I have to say about this Venezuela issue. Number one, so they say that this is all about drugs.
Yeah.
Venezuela is pouring in drugs into America. And so apparently Trump has, they've charged him, America has charged Maduro for narco terrorism.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to take you back to the 80s. There was a country called Nicaragua.
Yeah.
There was a war between the Contras and the Sandinidas. The Contras it's not even a conspiracy. Everybody knows the Contras were being backed by the CIA to defeat the Sandinidas because the United States wanted the Contras to take over the Nicaragua. How does this relate with drugs? Well, the Contras wanted to fund their war, to buy weaponry, to buy instruments of war. So how are they funding their war? By drug pushing. So how were they doing it? They were using the CIA to push drugs in America. The CIA gave them an open door because the US was so hell-bent to ensure that this government, that the government at that time was overthrown by the Contras. They said, hey, you know what? Fine. You guys bring in drugs to America because there's so much demand here. You get your money, buy weapons, buy grenades, buy everything you need for this war. and then we are good. The CIA, and it's not even you guys. There was a journalist by the name Gary Webb. He was reporting on this. You guys can go research on Gary Webb. There is so much evidence to back what I'm saying. The CIA knew, and they allowed the Contras to push drugs in America. And in fact, there was a guy called Freeway Ricky Ross. You know, I told you last time. I told you guys, I'm a hip hop fan. The rapper Rick Ross, who's one of my favorites, stole his name from a real drug dealer in the 80s called Freeway Ricky Ross.
Oh, that's the inspiration of his name.
Yeah, and actually Ricky Ross, I think, sued him. Yeah, the real Freeway, the real Ricky Ross has said it multiple times. Like, yo, I was getting drugs from the Contras who were backed by the CIA.
Okay.
What am I saying? The US has no problem with drugs pouring into the United because they've done it before. So all this narco terrorism that they're doing with Maduro and everything is all BS.
So the question I would ask is, if indeed, assuming indeed he was sending drugs, would he be sending if there was no market? Or why is he sending drugs then?
Because there's a market. There's a market. Demand and supply. Number two, this is oil. Even, Trump has said he's not even hiding it. This is all about oil. Oil. Sucking as much oil as they can to benefit America. But not just America, which I'll get to in point number 3. But let me talk about Trump's honesty as well.
Yeah.
Trump is honest. If there's one thing, I hate the man, of course. There's no way you can like Trump. There's no way you can like any president of the United States, including Obama, who was black and who is Kenyan. But I don't care. Obama, there's no way you can hate any American president because they all are backed by evil white power structures that are using them to push their agendas and to push their initiatives. The president is just a puppet. But one thing I just like about Trump is his honesty. Unlike Obama, when he killed Gaddafi, you guys just wanted Gaddafi dead so that because you guys were scared of his influence in Africa, and you guys were scared that he was planning to form a common African currency. Yeah. And now we know that that's the truth. Before Obama, it was Bush. What did Bush do? He killed Saddam Hussein. Before Bush killed Saddam, he said, Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. That's why we are going to finish him so that we can promote peace in the world and end terrorism. They went there, they killed Saddam Hussein in Iraq, only to find out that there is no weapons of mass destruction. They lied. Just say you're going there for oil. So presidents have always been diplomatic and been, typical politicians. Politicians, that's what they do. They lie. Yeah. But Trump is honest. He said, I'm here because of oil. I'm in Congo because of the minerals. There's no way around it. So, now, which brings me to point number 3. This isn't just the US sucking all the Venezuela oil to themselves. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world.
Yeah.
But there's something. Who is the number 1 buyer of Venezuelan oil? China.
China has been.
China.
Yes.
This whole Venezuela Maduro issue has less to do with US taking all the oil to themselves, but it has more to do with the US war with China.
So it's an extension of what he was doing earlier with, what are they called? Not taxes, there's a name they use. Tariffs. Yes.
Tariffs.
Yes.
So you know what Trump is trying to do now? He even said it. The oil is ours. We're in full control of Venezuela.
Yeah, he said it.
This isn't just for US consumption. He wants to control access and sale of this oil. So either 2 things are about to happen. Number 1 is Trump will hoard the oil that is supposed to go to China, he'll hoard it so that it can hurt Chinese prices. The oil prices in China might go up a little bit. It might, disrupt the Chinese economy, just to pick on China, because this is the Cold War. Yeah. This is a power grab, power play, power struggle between US, China, and Russia. Just to say that, hey, we have an upper hand on China. So it's either they want to disrupt the supply of Venezuelan oil going to China, to raise the prices up, to hurt the economy a little bit, to cripple it a bit. Or they say, you know what, this is business. We can't choose our customers. In business, you can't choose your customers.
Yeah.
So what do? We can sell it to China, no problem. You guys are the biggest buyer of Venezuelan oil, no problem. We'll sell it to you. Because now this is ours. US has said it time and time. This is our oil now. This is our country now.
Yeah.
So we'll sell it to you the way Maduro was selling it to you. But the profits will go to us, America. Maybe the scraps will leave it to the Venezuelan government. That is why Trump has told the interim president right now that you have to sever ties economically with China and Russia.
I mean, I just want to go back to that point a bit and look at it this way. Before this drama of Venezuela looking to China for business, what happened, they had so many sanctions issued by the US. So initially they traded with the US, but due to the sanctions, then now they had to look, I mean, you're not an island, you have to look for other partners.
So they had to go to China.
So what was the US expectation by issuing these sanctions? Because a country won't just sit and watch.
Of course, they have to find other buyers so that they can sell this oil that they have. I mean, they're the biggest oil reserve in the world.
Yeah.
So that brings me to point number 4. There's something called the Monroe Doctrine.
Before we go to that,
okay,
we will come to that doctrine. We'll just go back to what do you think will be China's reaction to this? Because they know,
China,
they understand it's...
The spokesperson the other day said, they condemn, this is bullying. China doesn't give a damn about politics. Let me tell you something. Nobody cares about, the livelihood of the people, democracy. This is business. This is business. This is power. This is power. Them, they're looking at, our oil is stuck in Venezuela.
Yeah.
And US is hoarding it. This will hurt us a bit. So that's why they're now thinking about what they're going to do to substitute the oil that Venezuela was giving them. Maybe they'll have to make deals with Russia because Russia is also supplying oil to China and also Iran. So they have to rethink all these things because now I think this one really hit them so hard. I think this operation was top secret and nobody knew it was going to happen. I mean, it happened at night when Maduro was almost going to sleep.
You think nobody knew?
Well, I think that China and Russia most likely did not know.
You think they do not have secret agents in Venezuela who would perhaps know?
Well, the way I'm looking at it, I think this thing was top secret. I think the only people who knew were Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, Trump, probably the Defense Secretary, some people in the Army, the DEA, the CIA. Of course, the CIA knows everything. Yeah, this is top secret. The way I'm seeing China is, I think they're confused. They're like, man, our oil, imekwama.
So I would from what you project, moving forward, because of course they're affected. That's obvious. And they've had those tariff wars with the US. What do you think will be Xi's next step?
Well, maybe they have to make some adjustments. I know Russia and Iran supply China with oil as well. So maybe they have to make some more deals there. Probably they'll have to come back. Maybe they'll come to Africa and maybe they'll come to Nigeria and do something there. We just have to wait and see.
Wait and see. What if Iran erupts? Because we are also watching what happens in Iran next.
It will be World War III. This is how wars start. I mean, World War I started because of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was killed, and then World War II because of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Small things. I know World War II started when Pearl Harbor happened. It's small things that start world wars. But wars are very Though I want everybody to go watch a movie called Lord of War. You guys have you ever watched Lord of War?
I haven't watched it myself.
Oh my God. That's one of the best movies I've ever watched. I actually watched it during this Christmas period.
Wow.
And I'm watching it again and again and again just to learn. It's based on a true story. It's about it's by Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
It's about arms dealer.
Okay.
Yeah. War is very profitable. War is business. There's so much contracts that are given during war. Food contracts,
Yeah.
Army clothes, weapons, of course, especially weapons, water, supplies, oil. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
When it comes to war is very profitable. And that's what's fixing to happen. Which brings me to point number 4, the Monroe Doctrine and the Roosevelt Corollary. In 1823, President Monroe in America told Europe, the Western Hemisphere is out of bounds for you. Totally out of bounds.
Yeah.
You don't touch Canada. You don't touch US, of course. Don't touch Mexico. Don't touch South America. Don't touch anything in the Western Hemisphere. This is ours.
Yeah.
Later on in 1904, with President Theodore Roosevelt, he added onto the Monroe Doctrine. It's called the Roosevelt Corollary. He said, yeah, Europe, keep away from the Western Hemisphere. Only us can go to Latin America, pour our troops to protect, that's what they say, to protect Latin America from European influence and to promote stability, in quotes. What happened afterwards? Coup after coup after coup. And takeover after takeover after takeover. Chile, Allende was overthrown. Then who replaced Allende in that coup? Pinochet. Total U.S. ally. Honduras, same thing happened.
Yeah.
Nicaragua, we talked about Nicaragua. Same thing happened with the U.S. funding the Contras. There are many. Actually, a lot of South American Spanish-speaking countries, a lot of the coups were sponsored by the CIA and the US so that we can put people who can further our interests.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if there's one thing that I was thinking about before I came here. So this Monroe Doctrine, and Trump has actually talked about it. He has actually said that now it's no longer called the Monroe Doctrine, it's called the Monroe Doctrine. This is the Monroe Doctrine. Now I thought about it, I was like, okay, Monroe Doctrine. The US doesn't care about these doctrines. They make these doctrines just to keep people from their backyard so that they can control and steal and suck all these resources, so on and so forth. They don't care about all the sovereignty and the stability of South America. Because if they cared, and if they really believed in the Monroe Doctrine, they wouldn't cross over to Africa and overthrow Patrice Lumumba. They wouldn't go and overthrow Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana. They wouldn't go, and now Trump is, later on, Trump is talking about taking over Greenland, which is owned by Denmark.
Yeah.
They wouldn't go and say and tell Nigeria, hey, we are coming to protect Christians, we don't care, and even we'll bomb you during the Christmas season. They wouldn't go to Congo and take all the minerals in the name of peace. So if you believe in the Monroe Doctrine that everybody should stay away from the Western Hemisphere, then fine, you stay away from Africans' issues. Stay away from any other person's issues. Europe, stay away. Stay away. Everybody, stay away from each other's territory.
But wasn't the doctrine already a selfish way of control?
Of course, it's selfish. But my point is, if US is saying that, you guys leave the Western Hemisphere alone, and I heard even Rubio say it, leave the Western Hemisphere alone. If you truly believe that, and America, leave any other thing that falls in other hemispheres alone. Europe, leave Africa alone. US, leave Africa alone. Asia, leave, let everybody be. Let everybody be.
Everyone should be. But when you look at it critically, President James Monroe was working to protect US interests, right?
Of course.
Which is what everyone should be doing anyway.
Course.
But when we speak about let Africa be, have we defined what are our interests when we start seeing such things happen?
Which brings me to point number 5. When I was looking at all these things, all these chess moves being made between the US, because this is all, anything that happens in the geopolitical realm between US, China, and Russia is all about power, world power. Since the Cold War, this is always about world power. I look at China right now. I ask myself, back in the day, it used to be US versus Russia. Then China just came out of nowhere. China was nothing, Sarah. China was nothing. Before Chairman Mao Zedong took over, China was absolutely nothing. It was Chairman Mao who came and revolutionized how people think about China. The Cultural Revolution. He said, put China first. Let us think about being an industrial superpower.
Yeah.
Chairman Mao, when he went to visit Joseph Stalin in Moscow, Joseph Stalin looked down on him and he was actually humiliating him because even Stalin knew, China will never be anything. And now look at China now. China is rivaling US and Russia, and some people are saying China is the most powerful country in the world.
So is that what scares Trump to an extent?
Of course. Anything that, let me tell you, white supremacy is threatened right now. What you're seeing right now with them mass deporting people, the racism temperatures rising up, of course now with taking over Venezuela and not even hiding. All these other presidents, they've always lied and tried to go around, beating about the bush, saying, no, this is all peace. Trump is saying, no, this is white supremacy, and just white people in general are becoming more unapologetic. There's a reason for this. I'm reading a book right now called The ISIS Papers that was written by Dr. Francis Cress Welty, one of the greatest psychologists of all time, very underrated. And I want everybody who's watching right now, if you're interested in black consciousness, if you're interested in revolutionizing your mind, just go, I think it's on Amazon, or just go and buy a book called The ISIS Papers. She's an ancestor right now.
Okay.
But I really, really, really respect that woman. All these things are, the white population is dwindling.
Yeah.
Very soon, already white people are a minority in the world, but very soon white people will be a minority in America. The reason why Europe and America are becoming more anti-immigrant, more racist, more prejudiced, this is as a response to their numbers dwindling. They're like, these immigrants are coming, they're intermarrying with white women and white men, because white people cannot produce color, it's only people of color that can produce color. And I hate using that word, people of color, but I'm using it for the sake of conversation. The baby that's going to come out of an interracial relationship will not be white.
Yeah.
So this is contributing to their numbers dwindling as well. And Trump knows this, which is why when he was president, if I'm not wrong, it's either when he was president or when Biden. That was when Roe versus Wade was overthrown, and abortion became illegal. I think it was during Trump, if I'm not wrong.
I need to revisit.
But it was recent.
I feel like it's Biden's.
I think it was Biden.
Okay, anyway.
But you guys know what? It was recent. It was just recent. And I remember there was a white lady. I think she was a senator or a congresswoman. She was saying, "Thank you for saving the white population," or something like that. I think she wasn't supposed to say it, but she said it. This is, they're in a state of panic, which is why in America, in a lot of white neighborhoods, They have fertility clinics. They have IVFs. They're encouraging white women to go to sperm banks, IVFs and everything, because their numbers are dwindling. But when you go to black neighborhoods, what do you find more? Planned Parenthood, abortion. I'm not saying that abortion is good or bad. That is between women to choose whatever they want to do with their bodies. I'm just talking about the agenda that's going on right now. This is about numbers. And when people like Bill Gates, who I talked about the other day, who is a population, who has confessed multiple times that he wants to combat climate change using population control, you sit down and think, is this... I'm not here to talk about any conspiracy theories, but is that a person who you can entrust medicine, vaccines, and agriculture to? A guy who openly believes in population control as an African president. Can you sit down and really be like, this is the right guy who can help us with agriculture, who can help us with medicine? I mean, you have to be crazy. You can't. Like I said back in the in the previous interview, there has to be something called racial pride. You can't let people just come and do anything, and yet they have a checkered history. So back to China. China was nothing. But they were focused. Now, Mao Zedong was no saint. He was ruthless.
Yeah.
But he set the foundation. He laid the foundation of what China is right now. And now look at China. They prioritized in manufacturing. They prioritized in other companies in the West, even in Africa. Anybody who wants to do manufacturing, come to China. We'll do it. We'll do it cheaply for you. And that's what they've been doing, saving, and they've been saving, manufacturing, building economic, they call them economic towns, Guangzhou, all these places. They've been focused, being so tough on corruption. Even, I think there's a death sentence if you're a politician, you're found stealing public money, you're gone.
Yeah.
Gone, your head is gone. So they've been serious. And now look at China now.
Becoming a threat to the
world. Nobody, and now China has nuclear weapons, which is what I want to come to next. In the 50s and the 60s is when China was now beginning to do nuclear tests. And now China has an arsenal of nuclear weapons. We can never be respected until we have nuclear weapons as Africans.
Do you think there's any African country that has really, genuinely, or, out there we just say?
Well, not to my knowledge. But you know what? Uh-huh. A very critical mineral that makes nuclear weapons is uranium.
Yeah.
Which country has a lot of uranium in Africa?
Congo.
Congo, Namibia,
yeah.
And of course, Niger. Niger is very interesting now because Niger is decolonizing itself from French. Chiani is lining up with Captain Traore and Goita. They're forming the Sahel states during Christmas period. They called it the Black Winter. They're forming investment banks. They're working together. Basically, the AES is basically fixing to be like a NATO, an African NATO type thing. Maybe, and I hope that that's what they're doing, I hope that they're using the uranium in Niger to finally make nuclear weapons. We need to have nuclear weapons in Africa. That's the only way that we will be respected. Why do you think US can go to Venezuela and go to Maduro's house and pick him up and pick him up and his wife, take him to US and charge him in American courts? And basically there's nothing you'll do to him because there's something called nuclear weapons. If you don't have nuclear weapons, you're not respected. That's why US is respected. That's why Russia is respected. China, even I think Korea. Any country that has nuclear weapons is respected. Iran. You know why? Because they have nuclear weapons. Once you have even North Korea.
Yeah.
So Trump is talking
That's
about...
even worse.
It's even worse. There's something called a nuclear deal, which is very selfish. It's still, and you see this African president saying, we can't have nuclear weapons because we signed this nuclear deal and we promised that we'll never, ever... You think North Korea cares about the nuclear deal? They're saying, if US has nuclear weapons, Russia has nuclear weapons, and you guys are picking on me. What? Of course, I'm going to have nuclear weapons. Hey, you guys think I'm just stupid that you guys don't want to overthrow me because North Korea is very, very minerally rich as well.
But the man, that's why he said that's why Maduro was picked.
Of course.
I mean,
so you think Kim Jong-un is going to sit down and say, let's take heed and let's respect the nuclear deal? No, nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about the UN. Anything the UN says, nobody cares about that soft shit. This is war. This is war. The nuclear deal, nobody... You have nuclear weapons to protect your territory, to protect your... If Venezuela had nuclear weapons, Trump would not touch them.
Yeah, probably, yes.
Well, probably because he's careless, but I'm sure he wouldn't do, he would think twice and say, this will be detrimental to America. Let me back up and let me think about it. You think Trump can go to Russia and pick Putin? You think Trump can go to...
I don't think his guys will get there.
To China and pick and kidnap Xi Jinping the way they did Maduro. Why?
Never.
Because they have nuclear weapons. But you know what? Trump can come to Kenya and pick Ruto. Trump can come to Tanzania and pick Suluhu. Trump can come to South Africa and pick Ramaphosa.
He might be next if South Africa continues to beef with him, perhaps.
By the way, Sarah, I was looking at, I was watching, it just came to my feed. Gachagua was saying, hey, you know what? Trump, what you did in the US, I want you to come to Kenya and do the same thing to these people who are stealing money from US government. You remember that Minnesota thing?
Yes.
I just sat down and I'm like, hey, is this our presidential candidate?
Sad.
You're not only a presidential, you're a former deputy president. You want to be the leader of this country, and you're standing up in front of cameras, in front of the world, telling a foreign president to come to an African country and invade your sovereignty.
Let me ask you, when you look at what Trump has done, then do you think sovereignty is real?
It's not real.
Or even democracy. Because Venezuela did elections, they elected the guy, he was their president. So when we speak about sovereignty, what exactly are we saying in this era?
Sovereignty only is respected if you have something called nuclear weapons. If you don't have nuclear weapons, you're vulnerable. There's nothing you can be able to do.
So okay.
Nobody cares about international law. Nobody cares about the nuclear deal. Nobody cares about all these UN laws, all this, nothing.
No, there are people who care.
Well,
but there's a part of people who don't care. The top of the countries.
They don't care.
Yeah, but the rest of us.
They don't care. That's why when we talk about international law, we talk about the ICJ.
Yeah.
ICJ, the International Court of Justice. Do you know something? When the ICJ rules on a judgment, and let's say the case is about, let's say for example, the ICJ says the US, what they did to Maduro is unlawful.
Yeah.
And we demand that the US brings back Maduro back to Venezuela and everything. Look, the US is in the Security Council.
Yeah.
The US has veto power. It will veto that thing. And nothing, and there's nothing the ICJ will do.
So are we saying then we have to redefine how we look at international law in the long run? Because at the moment, when we see what is happening in the world, it's becoming toothless.
It's toothless. This is, let me tell you, this is gloves off. There's no diplomacy here. And that's one thing that Traore, Goita, and Chiani have understood. That's why I like these three presidents. They've understood, guys. Yo, you are the 51, 49 presidents, and I exclude Duma Boko and
Namibia.
Nandi. They are trying. But the ones who are exemplary is Chiani Goita and, of course, Captain Traore. They've understood, yo, this is survival for this is a jungle. This is survival for the fittest. It's either you organize, defend yourself, decolonize, and make sure that once you understand that we are on our own as Africans, once you understand that the only thing that Americans, Russians, Chinese people, and all these other superpowers, white supremacy, Asia, the only thing that they respect is muscle, is force. If you don't have that, there's nothing you'll do. There's nothing you'll do. Which is why I just want to urge all these African leaders, again, please organize yourself. Forget about the beefs that you have. Congo, Rwanda, Rwanda, you're being used for some crumbs. Forget about all these things. Forget Sudan. Forget about your RSF being used by the UAE. And of course, UAE is being supplied weapons by the United States. Forget about all this. Forget about, guys, this is war, man. If people don't think about this, this is war. It's either you have muscle or you don't have it. And if you don't have it, you're doomed. Let's forget about all these petty beefs that we have in Africa and in the diaspora. Let's find a way on how we can unite our economy as a global African race. Let's think about how we can unite, most importantly, our army.
Yeah.
We have one army. I mean, NATO did it.
Yeah.
What is so hard in Africa doing it if NATO did it? That's America and Europe. They did it. Why can't Africa form a common army? Why can't Africa form a common navy, a common marine, a common air force? And I don't know if this is the truth, but maybe the Western powers are telling them, if you try, you'll see. You'll follow Gaddafi. But sometimes I wonder.
Well, it's
Sarah,
actually a possibility.
But sometimes, Sarah, I wonder. Yeti, this is war. Why are you? There's no time to fear. That's why Africa is it, because we are fearing white people, and we are fearing Russia, we are fearing China, we are fearing Europe. There's no time to fear. We need to do this. This is Sarah, when I said that this is the only quarter we have, I truly mean it. The things that are happening. And actually, I made that video on 31st. That was before all this Venezuela thing.
Yeah.
And now, when this Venezuela thing happened, I was like, oh, I was right. This is the only quarter we have. If we don't make significant strides in the decolonization, in the freedom of the global African race, in the independence, if our ultimate goal, we won't reach it, which is independence, by 2050, because that's the end of the second quarter of the 21st century, we will be at a point of no return. This is gloves off. This is gloves off.
Are we ready to get the gloves off as Africa? Looking at it from, let's say, Nigeria. Nigeria was attacked on Christmas Day.
When I saw that, by the way, Sarah, when I saw that bombing, I was like, yep, it has begun. And now with this Venezuela thing, Tinubu has to be very careful. Because Trump might, God forbid, but maybe Trump might come and remove him as well. Why do you think
what if he's working for Trump as it is working?
Of course he is. But let's say for some reason, he says, you know what? No, this guy is using us badly. And then one day he says, no, we don't support you guys. Yeah. Trump will say, what? What do you say? He'll overthrow him. So that's why he has no choice but to work with him. This is about oil. Oil. Nigeria is the number one oil producer in Africa, right? Oil. Venezuela, biggest oil reserve in the world. Oil. So, like, you see the correlation.
Yeah.
first of all, we don't care about, and that's why I was urging Nikki, I was urging all these guys who are supporting this Trump BS that's going on right now. Stop. And I was in an interview last year in an African American show, and I told she's called Queen. I told Queen in this show, Queen, look, we need to start being serious, and us as common black people in the world, we need to start boycotting black artists and white artists and entertainers and celebrities who sell out. If we are serious, by now, we should blackball Nicki Minaj. Don't listen to anything that she produces. No music, no movies, no nothing. Don't listen to anything she does. Any sellout, Kanye West, don't listen to anything. Any sellout who comes and says, yo, I support Trump, even the Democrats, I support the Democrats, because Democrats are, there's no difference here. These guys are in the same team. I mean, Obama was a Democrat. What did he do to Gaddafi? So these guys are all in the same team. If we see any black artists selling out, black entertainers selling out, we need to blackball them. They need to know that, this, and I think this should be the title, probably, you guys will figure out. But this is war. We have no time to joke around. It's either you're with us or against us. If you're with us, good, we'll support anything. We'll even donate. We'll buy anything that you produce and we'll donate. But if you're a sellout, we need to boycott you. We need to be serious.
But they will say, who defines the sellout business? Like, who defines what is what? It's the same way we are arguing. Who defines what is democracy? If indeed, like Venezuela case, I mean, that was a democratically elected president by the people of Venezuela. But the US says, no, this is not democrat.
Yeah.
Democratically elected. This guy stole.
Yeah.
So the same way in this entertainment, who will define for us what is genuinely support for a cause and what is sellout?
Well, it's not hard to identify these sellouts. I mean, you saw what Nicki did.
Yeah.
You saw what Kanye has always been saying. Even here in Africa, I mean, there are many. What did Diamond do the other day with Suluhu? I mean, you can just see them. Even here in Kenya, you'll see people who are dancing, who are in the streets. Oh, Gen Z. You'll see them this year or next year before election. You'll see them dancing with Ruto. Oh, two-term. This goes to the global African race. Anybody who goes against the progression of African people globally, we need to blackball them. We need to blackball them. I don't care if you're a celebrity or not. I don't care, because celebrities have so much influence, but they're using their influence wrongly. How can you say? And that's what I really miss. Back in the days, we used to have real celebrities and real sportsmen who stood up, who are willing to even give up their careers for the sake of black people. Look at
the question. Maybe would be that passing in from education. Because you see, if you're not conscious enough about a certain issue, then for you it won't matter. Or you'll just move with what is trending at that moment. Then how do we go about the education of the black person so that they understand themselves better? They understand what is the good cause that we should be pushing for. What is the reason people like Martin Luther existed? What cause were they for? What is it that Nkrumah wanted?
Yes.
Because if we don't know, we'll just be expecting too much from people who do not know.
Which is what I was heading. But before, Sarah, before even we speak about all this education, educating yourself and becoming conscious, and before we even go there, we all know what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
These celebrities know what's right. They know what's wrong, but they're choosing to go on the wrong side because there's money for them, or because they've been promised something by those parties that that are using them. And to me, I say, fine, you want to go there, no problem, you go there. But we, as a global African race, we need to say we will not support anything that you produce. Any movie, any music, anything that no, because you are using us. How can you profit from us? We buy your music, we stream your music, we watch your movies, we stream your movies, we buy your movie, we do everything to support your artistic work. But at the same time, you're using what we are giving you to go and sell out. No. That's why the other day I was really honored to have Amanda Seals on my platform, Sell Africa to Africans. There are few who are really, really doing a very good job. And there are few who are really sacrificing their entertainment ties and everything to make sure that they speak for Black people. Amanda Seals is one of them. Yeah. David Banner is one of them. Killer Mike. There are a few who are really, really firm. But most of them, nothing. What happened to the Makebas? Makeba was exiled from South Africa because of her stance because of her making songs and singing songs about anti-apartheid. That's why she was. Imagine being exiled for 27 years, damn near 30 years from your home country. She made her name in America. She moved to Guinea. She was just, but she missed her home. It wasn't until when Mandela was freed that she was allowed to come back to South Africa. But she didn't stop. She continued singing. She continued singing songs of liberation. That woman went through so much, including losing her own daughter. So you look at Fela Kuti. He's extremely talented, but extremely fearless as well. Father of Afrobeats. Let's move away from America. Let's go to comedians like Dick Gregory, who's one of my mentors, by the way. Sacrificed his comedic career. Dick Gregory was the hottest comedian in the 50s and the early 60s. In fact, in the 50s, I think Dick Gregory was, you see, who's the hottest comedian? Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, maybe.
He was a actually, Dave Chappelle would be nothing without Dick Gregory. All these political comedians like Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, all these comedians that we watch right now have gotten their, they've learned so much from Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory sacrificed his comedic career to go back down south and go help Dr. King during the civil rights movement. And he was the hottest comedian. He was getting a lot of money. But he said, I have to go back and help my people. I mean, making people laugh is not enough to free my people. What happened to that? What happened to Muhammad Ali? Was willing to sacrifice his successful boxing career because he refused to go to Vietnam. He said, no Vietnam has ever called me a nigger. What happened to those times? What happened? What happened? Nina Simone. I mean, I'm telling you, the list is endless. The 60s, to me, is the decade in the global African race that is the most revolutionary decade ever.
Do you feel like we are heading towards that direction when you look at the society we have today? Are we getting people who are willing to liberate, even in the arts industry?
In the arts, forget about it. Maybe a few emerge, but in the arts, forget. The arts, majority of them is just about money. Money, money, money. And I understand the entertainment industry is skewed, is messed up. There's a lot of theft by big corporations. They're not getting enough money from their art. So whoever offers them money, but there has to be something called integrity. There has to be something called integrity. The music industry, the movie industry has forever been exploitative. Even in the 60s, it used to be exploitative, especially to Black people. But that didn't stop artists back in the day from fighting for Black people. So that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. But with all these things that are happening, you see the youth rising up. Last year, you saw people in various countries going and protest in favor of Ibrahim Traore. That is very, very promising. That is very, very promising. Arts can be a very, very, very crucial thing that can push the movement to us getting to full independence. But if they don't want to come, we will make them come, which is what I said, that we need to boycott them. They need to know that, hey man, these Black people are serious. They're not even, our sales are down, our streams are down. Okay, what do you want? So Jay-Z will be like, okay, what do you want? Future, Okay, guys, what do you want? We just want you to come and use your influence, use your gift to further the cause. I'm not saying that that's all you can do. I'm not saying that you make only revolutionary music or revolutionary movies. Tyler Perry, don't make all. I'm sick and tired of these medias. You have the power, and I saw the other day he made a good movie about
Christmas again? No, I didn't.
no. There was a movie he made with Kerry Washington. It was a very, very good movie about black women.
I've seen that movie. I'm trying to remember.
It was
I've
good.
watched it,
That's
actually.
a good step. But so far, there's no movie. There's no Gavi movie. And to me, if you ask me, there is no comprehensive, complete movie of Dr. King. We have one for Malcolm, but there's no one for Dr. King, which is crazy. There are so many black stories that need to be told. Use your talent. You can still make the media movies. I know that's what keeps the lights on. But also, there's so many crucial black stories that need to be told. Do that. All these musicians, I'm not saying that all you can do is to make revolutionary albums, but you can balance.
Yeah.
And that's basically all I'm saying. But if you don't do so, I actually urge every single black person, if you're serious about liberation, boycott every single sellout in the black entertainment industry. Boycott them. Because majority of them are not for the people. Only support the ones who are for the people, and we know them. Support them. They need to know that we are serious.
Yeah.
They need to know that we are serious.
Okay. Looking at it from an education point of view, this is a question I had asked about. How do we go about... I mean, I know this podcast is one of the ways of pushing the message across. But overall, how do we get the message to as many people as possible? Like, in what other ways do we expand the sphere?
Number one, you remember in the last episode I talked about... I talked about education. And I'm very serious about... I like that guy, Ngangamui guy.
Yes, the
He was on the
Constitution.
show.
Yes, he
Oh,
came.
man. And I'm looking for him. I really want him on the show. He's very sharp. He's really passionate about the Constitution and everything. You know, when he said that Constitution, the Constitution needs to be in the curriculum.
Yes.
And I fully support him. I also want Pan-African studies to be in the curriculum. From nursery all the way to university. It should be, in university there used to be those general courses that you must do.
Yeah.
Whether you're in medicine, whether you're in whatever you are, there are general courses that you must do. Pan-Africanism must be mandatory from nursery. A nursery school kid, by the time he or she reaches primary school, must know who Gavi is, must know who Kwame Nkrumah is, must know who Dedan Kimathi is, must know who Tom Mboya is, must know who Jaramogi is, must know who Steve Biko, Bantu Steve Biko is. They must know Dr. King, Malcolm, they must know all these Pan-Africans. Then, they just know them.
Yeah.
Because nursery, they're still young, nursery, if they see a picture of Gavi, if they see a picture of King, you see that it does something to them. There's a school, by the way, and I feature them on Sell Africa to Africans. It's in Nakuru. It's called Children in Freedom School. Mm-hmm. It's I think the only Afrocentric school in Kenya, and one of the very few in Africa. The kids wear African clothes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I went there. I interviewed the school owner. He's a Nigerian guy. He's called Engineer Oku Kanai. He started the school with his wife, Uderi Kanai. I went there, and when I just saw the school, the classes, the teachers, the students, I almost felt like crying. Because, I grew up in Nakuru. Me, I'm a Nakuru guy. And I was like, oh, man, I wish this school was here when I was still young. The kids, the classes are named after African heroes. You have a Wangari Maathai class. You have, and the kids learn African history, Black history. They learn business in school. The kids wear African clothes. I even interviewed, you guys go to South Africa to Africans. I interviewed them. I even interviewed one of the kids. The kids know black. They know who Gavi was. They know, I was like, what is this? I've never seen this before. Man. You see that? Actually, you see that template. The Ministry of Education, they should just go to that school and employ that template in all Kenyan schools.
That'll be great.
It will. I was mesmerized. I couldn't believe it. Pan-African studies is not only supposed to be only black history, and people. Kids should also learn how white supremacy works.
Very important.
White supremacy. They need to know the characteristics of white supremacy, so that when they see Trump overthrowing Maduro, when they see Trump going to Nigeria and doing whatever he wants, when they see Europe, when they see white people doing all these things, they understand. They they need to understand how white supremacy works and how it has always worked historically. White supremacy is destructive by nature. They are vandalists. They are ruthless. That's how they've kept their power. Let nobody lie to you. It's capitalism, but the spirit of industry, that's what they say, the spirit of industry. Nothing. They killed, they stole, and they destroyed everything in their path. That's how they took over Hawaii. That's how they've taken over Latin America. That's how they took over Africa and Asia. Although now Asia is fighting back now with China. This is like white supremacy. That's how they are. They need to understand how the numbers that are dwindling right now in white supremacy, they need to understand these things. And they need to understand that anything that they plan to do in future, whether they want to be dentists, whether they want to be lawyers, whether they want to be teachers, anything that an African child globally, when I say African, I mean continental Africans and Africans in the diaspora, because we are all in one African family, whether you like it or not. Yeah. They need to understand that before I become what I want to become when I grow up, I need to have a foundation of African pride, of African essence, so that before I become a lawyer, so that when I become a lawyer, anything that I do in my area of expertise, I do it for the sake of black people. When I become a lawyer, I'll make sure that anything that I do will be to advance, or let's say when I become an MP or a senator, I will make laws in that parliament that will decolonize my country. For example, all these senators, all these MPs, majority of them, I'm really disappointed at them. Only a few of them, when I look at the TV, I'm like, okay, this guy really has a brain. Very few, but most of them are useless. If all these MPs, senators all across Africa cannot come up with laws on how to decolonize these countries 50, 60, 70, 80 years after independence, then they should go home. How can you start? And Sarah, the problem with Africa is that once we got independence, we could have followed what Kwame Nkrumah said. Kwame Nkrumah said, guys, this is the best time. We're still new. We're still ripe. This is the best time for us to decolonize. This is the best time for us to unite one African economy. There were people who were for him. There are people who were against him. And now, as years go by, it's getting harder and harder for us to unite. Yeah. If only we listen to Osajo for Kwame Nkrumah. Now look at now. 60, 70 years later, we have MPs just going to parliament and debating on how the salaries can be increased, or just going there, sleeping there. Some of them are fighting, throwing chairs at each other, passing finance bills that are detrimental to the common person because they've been given a few money by powerful people to pass these laws. If all you can do is to do that, then, we should just remove you. Yeah. We need MPs who, when they enter into the Kenyan parliament, the South African parliament, the Nigerian parliament, the Congolese parliament, the Rwanda, the first thing you need to do is decolonization. all these clauses, all these acts that are still active till this day, since colonial time, we need to remove them. We need to decolonize our land. You saw the Ritz land.
Yeah.
They're even interfering with the ecosystem. I mean, our pride is the wildebeest. The wildebeest are confused. They're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
We need to decolonize our land. I don't care about all these conservancies. All these white people saying, we are conserving wildlife. That's why we're in Naivasha, we're in Laikipia, holding thousands and thousands of acres of land that my father or my grandfather stole from native Maasais and native Kikuyus. Because you know why? We are conserving this land. I know we stole it from you Kenyans, but we are conserving wildlife.
Like, why are you conserving wildlife that it's already in its nature? That's the natural habitat.
It's not even that. Yeah.
It's in its habitat.
Yeah.
You're the one actually causing problems to it.
Number two, when you go to some of these conservancies, that, somebody has thousands, a white person has thousands of acres of land, and they're saying they're conserving wildlife. But when you go there, it's just two monkeys and 3 parrots for thousands and thousands of acres of land. So what are you really doing there? I've heard rumors that they're extracting minerals. So, listen, I don't care about this. What are you talking about conservation? We as Africans have been living with these animals even before you were born. Yeah. We predated white people. We predated everybody in this world. We've lived with animals harmoniously for thousands of years before even the first white person came to existence. What are you telling us about wildlife? Who are you to tell us how to take care of giraffes and of lions and of elephants? Who are you?
And in fact, I think every Kenyan should go and watch a movie called The Battle for Laikipia.
Oh.
I don't know. I hope you have. You need to watch it because it just showcases how bad and messed up the conservation industry is in Kenya. And it's sad. From that movie, I learned that if you really want to become a conservancy, you just need to adopt a rhino, and that's it. Because they are endangered species. So what they do, once you have that, the government will even provide you with security. Because we need to take care of that animal. And so the people in Laikipia have mastered that art. And so now that's why we have all these acres you're talking about.
You remember Tom Chomley?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, because I remember the last episode, I've always told you, I've always been a news junkie and a newspaper junkie. So when I was a kid, I used to watch news, and I was a little kid.
This is a guy who shot someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was in 05 or 6.
Somewhere there.
I was probably 6 years old. I just used to see this white person every time in the news coming. I was like, what is this? When I grew up, then when you start learning, I was like, so this guy, the first case, there were 2 cases that he was arrested on of shooting Africans. I mean, Tom Chomley was a poacher. He was shooting animals, taking the ivory and selling game meat and all these illegal things. But because he's white, he can get away with it because he's a descendant of Lord Delamere. Not Lord.
It wasn't, but it was the Delamere story.
Yeah. I think Tom Chomley is a descendant of Delamere. Yeah.
It should. Yeah, because it's the same land.
So, and then, because he's white, the first case was, like I said, white privilege also extends in Africa as well. It's not in America, it's not in Europe only. It extends its ugly hands in Africa as well. The first case, he got away with it. I think he got away with the second case.
I haven't.
Check. And you just, how can this white boy just shoot us? This is our land. What are you talking about? Your descendants stole this land from Africans, and now you're telling us that, oh, this is my land, you're shooting people, you're getting away with murder? No. And I'm very, very disappointed. If I was president, I would have locked him under the jail. I don't care. Maybe Britain will come and put sanctions. I don't care. We need to have some black pride. I said it the other time. We need to have black pride. We need to stop fearing all these white people. Kwani hao wazungu ni nani? Then wanafikiri they can just come here and tell us what to do and tell us, no. Even these Indians, who are they? Some of the worst employers, and I've worked for Indians, by the way, I know. And anybody who has worked with Indians, anybody, in fact, if we were to organize a class action lawsuit of all these Indian employers, maybe 90% of them are poor employers and racists. I've worked in industrial area for Indians, I know. So all these foreigners think they can come here and own this country because they have money. It needs to stop. And let me tell you, these sectors of the economy that Indians own, manufacturing, wholesale, all these things, is not something that we can't do as Africans. We need to be, there has to be something called racial pride. Let's stop fearing all these foreigners. This is our Africa. Like I said, this is war. There's no friends. There's only allies in diplomacy.
Yeah.
I always say this. Allyship is friends with benefits.
True.
Allyship is conditional love. Friendship is unconditional love. People should know that. Allyship is conditional love. Friendship is unconditional love. There's no friends in this. Africa, we are on our own. Black people, globally, we've always been on our own. Everybody disrespects us. Everybody can pick on us because we don't respect ourselves, because we don't realize the power that we have. We are not harnessing the power that we have as a global African race. We are busy debating on Didi, who slept with who kissed who, 2-term, 1-term. When I look at all these things, I'm like, you guys, do you know what's happening? When I look at all these chess moves going on with US, China, and Russia, I'm like, these people are doing big chess moves and all these things. And us, we are just here, just talking about all these nonsensical things and not talking about one thing. We should only talk about one thing. All these leaders, Sarah, should only talk about one thing. How can we unite as a global African race? That's the only thing that should be in the mouths of every African president, every senator, every governor, every member of parliament, every chief, every village elder. I don't care any level of leadership in Africa. That's the only conversation that I want to hear. I don't want to hear all these stupid political catchphrases this is war. Trump doesn't care.
This is war.
This is war. This
is war.
War.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we'll have another session to continue with this conversation because there are many facets to it, and it's very interesting. But before we go, Uganda is going to elections next week.
Yeah.
What are your feelings about it as we end?
You can't, there's nothing you can
No, obviously he's not going though. Let's be realistic as it is.
Sadly. Look.
Why is it sad if the people elect him, by the way?
Well, we all know what he does. I mean, sorry. There's no fair election that's going to happen in Uganda. There's no fair election.
Do you know Bobby cannot beat Museveni fair and square in a fair election also? Sadly.
Interesting.
Which...
He's not popular?
He's popular, but to a very select few.
Okay.
Museveni is popular in that country, and that's what I feel like as Kenyans, we imagine, because he got the country out of war, so they've grown knowing this is our hero. So he's a hero to them.
If it's like that, then Ugandans need to be very, very, they need to change their minds for once. Let me tell you, when you reach a certain age, I mean, you should just give power. You should just leave. There's no way Paul Biya can run Cameroon 100% brain power at almost 100.
Yeah.
Same with Museveni. Same with all these other old presidents that we have here in this continent. Just give up power. What are you going to do? Some of these presidents can't even walk. Some of these, I saw a leader in Uganda. I think he's in the same
Some
party.
MP.
Yeah, he's sick. He can't talk well. And you still want to. What are you going to offer? What are you going to offer? All these power struggles, stupid power, like it just needs, like what are you going to offer when you're sick, you can't talk well, you can't engage your brain well, you can't apply your mind well? What are you going to offer?
Absolutely nothing.
That's why, let me tell you something, Lynn. There needs to be you see the Gen Z revolution that happened in Kenya? It needs to be Africa-wide. It needs to be, I'm sick and tired of this baby boomer presidents, of these Gen X's presidents, and every generation that is older than baby boomer and and Gen X. Baby boomers and Gen X, majority of the leadership that come from those generations before the millennials have ruined Africa. That's why Africa is poor right now. That's why Africa has not decolonized yet, because they failed to decolonize Africa, majority of them. Baby boomers and Gen Xers have ruined Africa, and they've ruined the progression of a united global African race. Majority of them, not all, majority. And I'm sick and tired of them. They need to go home, and they need to leave room for us, Gen Zs, and for Gen Xers. Sorry, and for millennials. Millennials and Gen Zs should take over this thing. For example, last year we talked about Saudi Arabia. They've realized that, oil, I know we are an oil superpower and everything, but we need to start thinking ahead, because one day this oil will be irrelevant and people will move to electric vehicles 100%. So we need to think. That's why they've invested in sports. They're invested in even wrestling, even WWE. They've invested in sports, in wrestling, and most importantly, video games. They bought the biggest video game company in the world. Now, you go and ask Ruto or Museveni, hey, video game industry is very, very popular here in Africa. If you go to every estate, there's a PlayStation place. You think Ruto cares about video games? You think Ruto cares about anything to do with entertainment, sports,
he's building a stadium.
Everything. First of all, fine stadiums, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at even our sports, when you look at even our clubs, you look at the sport industry in Kenya, just in Kenya per se, there's one thing called poor pay. If you don't address that in our Premier League, there will be much fixing forever. That is why when you watch the many African leagues, apart from very few, but many of them, it's just match fixing. And actually, I did an episode. One of my first episodes on Sell Africa to Africans was about match fixing in Africa. Yeah, go watch it. There was a guy called Wilson Raj Perumal. I think he was from Singapore. Ah, man. If not Malaysia, from Singapore. Somewhere from Asia.
Singapore? Singapore.
I'm not sure if it's Singapore or Malaysia. You guys go to, but he's called Wilson Raj Perumal. He was a match fixer. What he used to do, he was actually fixing matches even for Harambee Stars. What he used to do and what's happening now in Africa, because there's poor pay, because of the corruption that's in football, what happens is this Asian crime syndicates, they look at Africa like, these guys are poorly paid, so they're vulnerable. So they come to Harambee Stars and they tell Harambee Stars, you guys are facing Nigeria. Okay. Okay. So who's the goalkeeper? Okay, goalkeeper. Make sure that you lose that game. If you lose that game, we will pay you X amount of money. We know you're being paid nothing. We will pay you X amount of money. Goalkeeper is like, hey, I'm not, there's nothing I can do. If somebody's offering me 2 million to let 2 goals penetrate, and I'm being paid nothing, of course I'll take the money from this match fixer. So you know what the match fixer does? Because he's very sure that he has told the goalkeeper to lose that game, to make sure that Harambee Stars lose, to make sure that 2 goals penetrate, and to make sure that let's say the opposing team wins. They know very well that game is thrown away. So the crime syndicates go to the betting sites and they bet. So they know Harambee Stars will lose. The odds of Harambee Stars losing is, let's say, 3. They put millions and millions of dollars on one bet. And that's how the crime syndicates work. I did a very good story on that. That was one of my first stories on Sell Africa to Africans. And I want people to go watch it.
Yeah.
This is filthy. It's a filthy industry. And it's not going on in Africa, by the way. It's all over.
Yeah.
But it's prevalent here in Africa because of one thing. Pay. So, and if there's match fixing, there's no genuine competition, which takes away the flavor of the game. So unless you can build all these stadiums, but unless you figure out how these, and one thing I've always said about sports here in Kenya, the Kenyan Premier League it has so much potential. We have so much talent in our football. We just need to do one. The government needs to work with the club owners. You see the way in the UK, Man U has Old Trafford. Man City has Etihad Stadium.
Yeah.
Liverpool has Anfield. Like every team has their own stadium, right? That's what needs to happen here. Work with the team owners. The government says, okay, what do you want? Work with them to ensure that there's good revenue stream in Kenyan football. You tell these NTV, not KBC, because nobody watches KBC. You tell NTV, KTN, Citizen, you must stream Kenyan football. You must. There's no way around it, or else we'll not advertise on your channels. You must. There has to be. Kenyans need to see. I mean, when Gor Mahia plays, nobody goes to those unless it's Gor Mahia versus AFC. You see that people need to know that. People need to have access. That's the word. People need to have access to Kenyan Premier League, to these Kenyan matches, so that they can see. Football is less to do with the game and more to do with personality. Help these teams sell merchandise. Help these teams sell tickets. Market their games. The government, do your part in telling these Kenyan stations to stream these football games. Mandatory. People need to have access to the. You'll see. The revenue will stream. I'm telling you, these Kenyan teams will have unlimited revenue streams. How do you think Man U, Man City, Real Madrid, how do you think they get revenue stream? It's through ticket sales, but you know what also? It's through advertising from the games, through television, and you know one thing? Merchandise. All these people, when you walk here in Nairobi town, you see people with Man U shirts, with Chelsea shirts, but very few you see them with Harambee Stars.
Yeah.
With Gor Mahia, with AFC Leopards shirts, because they don't have access to those matches. Create access, help them with marketing, help them with merchandise, help them with ticket sales, and also help them to make their own stadium so they can have their home. You see the way there's home and away games.
Yes.
Just use the template that these successful football associations have into Africa, and you'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I see. It's interesting we diverted from Uganda to Kenyan football, but it's amazing. It's been great.
But one thing I need to say about Uganda, guys, vote your conscience. Vote your conscience. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. You can vote for anybody the last time I didn't finish my point on how I want democracy to work. People are starting to see democracy is bought, is nothing. I mean, that's why they're cheering for Traore. They're cheering for Chiani Goita. Whenever there's a coup, there was a coup attempt in Benin, and young people were excited all over Africa. Then it was botched. People are starting to see, democracy is skewed. It hasn't helped us for 60, 70 years since we got independence in most African countries. So what do? Like I said, the ends justify the means. But there are some countries that want a say into their governments. I get it. I get when people say that we need to vote our leaders.
Yeah.
Fine, no problem. But here's how we need to vote. Politics is all about blackmail. It's all about blackmail. This Gen Z revolution that I really am a part of and that I really respect, we need to move from agitating from the streets to organizing. Organize. Let's form something called a voting bloc. A voting bloc is not a political party. A voting bloc is when we, the youth, and anybody siding with the youth, and anybody who wants a change in the political culture of this country, we come together into this youth organized voting bloc. By doing that, we already form the majority of the voting population. Yeah. So there's nothing these politicians will tell us. If they want to win, they have to go through us because they have to get our vote. The other day I was looking, most of Kenya is the youth.
Yeah.
So they have to go through us. So how do they go through us? We tell them, Gachagua, Maraga, Kalonzo, whoever, even Boniface Mwangi, whoever is running, come here. Let's see your plan. Let's compare who has the best plan. Okay, let's say for example, it's Boniface Mwangi. You say, Boniface Mwangi, you know what? You've been a good activist. You've been very, you've been in the streets for long. You know what? We'll give you a vote. I'm saying, for example, we'll give you, we as a youth organized voting bloc, will give you our vote. So you've already won the election. But you have 2.5 years to pass our manifesto. We already have our manifesto that is carefully drafted by lawyers in our voting bloc, by teachers, by every professional from every area of the economy, for every area of the economy. We have a plan for this country. This is what you need to do when it comes to decolonizing Africa. That should be chapter 1. How you decolonize our land, how you decolonize our minerals, how you decolonize everything. Everything in this country needs to be decolonized. We can't function if nothing is decolonized. Number 2, corruption. This is how you'll fight corruption. You tell the judiciary, hey, look, I'm only giving you 3 months. Corruption cases should not last more than even 2 months because it's so open and shut. In fact, corruption cases in this country are so primitive, people don't even know how to steal. And then you go to these courts. If you've ever gone to law courts here in Kenya, sorry, you can even cry. The games that defense lawyers make, and even prosecutors, and even judges, everybody in the legal system. You find the judge say, the defense, oh, Your Honor, we don't have the following documents. We need to take a look. Oh, okay. The judge says, okay, we'll give you, let's adjourn and we'll get back to this case. Today is when? Today is 8th January. Let's come back in April. The guy is in remand. I mean, there are many cases, even if any case you can find in this country. The guy is rotting in remand. Judge anasema, hey, hii kesi tutaangalia in the next 3 months. The guy can't make bail. Is it bail or bond? The guy can't make, he can't, ako hapo ndani. And even the ones who can make, who are not in remand, the lawyer fees, because you have to pay lawyers and everything. Judges just say, you know what, November, and we're in January. One day I was because I've ever worked for a law firm. A judge was like, you know what? It was a traffic case. So the judge was passing through cases, right? So he was looking at the guy like, okay, ulifanya nini? Oh, okay. This is what you did. Oh, traffic. Okay, so it's a traffic case. Okay. Today is October. Come next year, January. What is this? A traffic case.
I thought traffic should be
something that is open and shut.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying everybody is and like you look at these corruption cases, they take 5 years, some 10 years, and it's some MP stealing CDF money or governor stealing county money. We haven't even reached a higher level. We need to tell the judiciary, look, and like we just need one man who's serious, like Traore, who has that resolute type of character. Tell judiciary, look, we respect your independence, but you guys are pulling us back. 3 months, put these people in jail. If you don't do it, I'll do it for you, no problem. I'll do it for you. This country has to change. We can't wait for independence of the judiciary. Nothing. This country cannot move if corruption cases are taking 5 to 10 years and it's some stupid MPs and governors stealing these small monies here. No, people need to be put in jail so that an example needs to be set. You're talking about Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew was hard on corruption.
Yeah.
You think Ruto is hard on corruption?
Wow.
We need, I'm telling you, we need to be serious.
We need to be serious. Maybe jail some people in 2026 because, I mean, there's only, I think we've had the corruption talk since we were kids. Now we are adults. We are the ones talking about it. So we need to feel and see the change for sure. Yeah. Mr. Orina, Sell Africa to Africans. Thank you so much for coming through. It's always a pleasure to have you around.
Yes.
Obviously, we will welcome you here again. We always want to have people as friends of the Alpha House by default. So, of course, you've become part of us. Thank you so much. Any last words to...
My 2 quotes are always less is more. The small things that you think are unimportant are the ones that will cause a major difference in your life. That has always been my number 1 mantra. Less is more. Number 2, black power is good outside of Africa, but it's long-lasting and sustainable here in Africa. Build your black power here. The Africans in the diaspora, African Americans, Africans in Europe, Africans in Asia, those are not your homes. There's a difference between a home and a house.
Yes.
A house is not a home. A house can be, a house is just to protect you from rain, from harsh weather, to give you shelter. But there's something about a home. It's spiritual. It's emotional. There's even, for example, when you go to a hotel and you stay in a nice hotel, they give you what they give. Even if they have the nice water, they have a nice bathtub, they have good food. You go to Kempinski and all these big hotels here in Nairobi. They might have the best food, even better than the one that you cook at home. But there's something about that home cooked meal that is more nourishing than that food that you ate in the best restaurant or in the best hotel. Home is spiritual. Even that couch of yours, even if that couch is not as expensive, is not as stylish as that couch that you are sitting on in that hotel room, there's something about your couch that is more welcoming and more comfortable. Home is all about one thing: safety, comfort, and that feeling you get when you're home. You can put your hair down. Africa is your home. I understand African Americans build America from the ground up. America is your house, but Africa is your home. Build black power in Africa because Africa is your home. And Africa is for Africans, those at home and those abroad. Africa is for Africans, not these Boers, not Arabs. No, Africa is for black Africans, those at home and those abroad.
Great. Build your home here.
And support Sell Africa to Africans. Kindly.
Yeah, please go subscribe to his channel.
Kindly.
He has amazing content, and so do we right here. So thank you so much to you who's been watching this first episode of the year. There's more coming for the year. Obviously, we will catch you more guests, more interesting topics, different, some inside, some outside. There's a lot that is coming for this year. So thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next episode, and happy 2026.